On to Ticket Training Tuesday. Thank you everybody for showing up. Got a pretty good turnout today. Appreciate that. We do these sessions to try to provide training for you guys around Ticket and what's possible. And it's always helpful when people show up and have questions and whatnot. So definitely feel free to come off mute and ask questions and provide commentary and feedback and whatever makes sense. Once again, this is Ticket Training Tuesday. I just mentioned we do this every week. Let us know if you can what you like, what you don't like, if what you want to see more of. As you saw in the opening slide today, we'll be talking about at mentions, which is a new feature that came out, I believe, just last week. We had a release last week with a couple of features. Number one was at mentions, and so we'll be talking about that today. And this is our agenda for today. We've been through the welcome and kind of some of the housekeeping. Like I said, it is recorded. And actually, we have a help page that has our previous meetings, and we'll include this one. We post all of these videos to YouTube, all these recordings to YouTube, so that this training is always available. You don't just have to show up here, although we do appreciate it. Like I said, appreciate everybody coming out. But the meetings are recorded, and so if you ever want to go back and watch them again, they are available. And yeah, so just briefly about me, I am a consultant at Sierson. I've been with the company for 7+ years now. Um, Consulting for me involves, delivering professional services around all of our products, but that does include Tikit. So that is what I do. And now let's talk about at mentions. Like I said, it's a new feature that was released last week. It was very highly anticipated, if I understand correctly. I know folks asked about it multiple times. I had, various people ask me about it. So it's nice that, you guys can see that we do hear the feedback. You guys want features, and hopefully you see that we deliver on those. So I'm excited about it. Obviously, at mentions is fairly ubiquitous in a lot of systems today. Teams, obviously, we integrate with Teams, and at mentions and channels and whatnot is very common. So it's nice to have that parity in Ticket now. But let's talk about briefly why you might at mention. Of course, we all get tons of notifications today from various systems, various platforms, including emails and Teams notifications from automated sources, from direct sources, um, you know, all kinds of sources. I read a statistic that said roughly 120 automated emails per day are received by business professionals. Some mileage may vary, but it's not, you could believe it that you get that many, whether that's through the course of work or even personal email. We get a lot of automated email and other notifications, push notifications via mobile and that sort of thing. And so one of the reasons why at mentions is important is because that helps us target a notification, with specific information for a specific person and be able to highlight that person in the notification so they know it's personalized, cutting through some of the noise of the automated emails and automated notifications, being able to highlight that user is important. And specifically in Ticket, some of the reasons that at mentions is important is collaboration. If you're an agent, you're assigned to a ticket, you're having trouble with it, you can reach out to another agent via the ticket, via a comment on the ticket. Just say, I'll say Ben Anderson because he's here. I appreciate Ben. At Ben Anderson, I'm having trouble with this ticket. Could you give me a hand? And he can get that notification. He'll be highlighted, and he'll be able to see what I need from him, and where he can jump in. And then another reason might be just to provide some context for someone who maybe doesn't even need to interact with the ticket, but something is changing, or something is being done, and they need to know that. And so just being able to say, hey, at James, this is happening in the course of this ticket, and so they have that. And once again, it's targeted and individualized for them. And then finally, escalation. Sometimes obviously tickets need to move between groups or even teams, and it's nice to be able to give maybe a particular agent who you might be picking that ticket up a heads up as to why. At Ben, I'm sending this ticket to your team, and here's why. And so they have that context when the ticket does ultimately move to that group or team. So that's some of the reasons why you might want to at mention. Does anybody have any questions about at mentions or comments before I jump into the demo? No? Okay. Then with that, I am going to share my screen. Can somebody audibly let me know? I can't see the chat or whatnot anymore, so if someone could audibly let me know they can see my screen.
I got it.
Okay, thank you so much. So here we are. I am in Tikit, as you might have expected, and I will be showing an app mention, the app mention functionality, how it works. So I'm going into a ticket. I am an agent, and I'm going to just at mention another agent. And as you see, when you type at, it's going to pop up a list of other agents. Now, my teams are very narrow. I don't have a ton of users in my tenant, but these are two users that are on my team. And so I'm going to say at Donald Marshall, I need some help with this ticket. And I'm going to send that. And then I'm going to flip over to Donald's experience. So just FYI, I was as me, I was as Justin. Just highlight that. This is JW, that's me. And then this is Donald Marshall, my agent. And then you can see I just received that notification as Donald. You were mentioned in 578. You can see I've got all the relevant details for the ticket, including, like I said, that highlighted notification that says I need some help with this ticket, highlights him as the user, and so he knows that that's personalized and individualized just for him. And then obviously in Teams, he can interact with the ticket or he can open it in web. Go ahead and do that. I also want to show that he will receive that same notification via email. And I'll kind of show how that's set up in just a moment. But you can see, once again, I received that via email. I need some help with this ticket. The name is highlighted. That lets me know it was personalized. And then furthermore, I could jump into that ticket from here. I've already clicked on it in Teams, so I'm just going to stay here. Once again, you can see I was the one, Justin Workman was the one that made the comment, but as Donald, I can see my name has been highlighted, which another cool feature about the app mentions in Ticket specifically is it highlights the user so I can jump into the user's profile and, all that kind of stuff. All the 365 stuff is available here within Ticket. And like I said, I can see that comment that was left. So that's how it works out of the box. I'm going to pause right there and once again ask if anybody has any questions. And then from here, I'm going to show how you can kind of tweak the configuration of at mention notifications. So before I do that, any questions or comments about at mentions? Nope. Okay. So like I said, the out of the box behavior around at mention notifications is to receive, as you saw, Donald received it in both the ticket app as an agent and then as an email. And that is like I said, the default behavior, but that can be modified. So the way that the way notifications are sent around app mentions is via notification center in the context of automations within Ticket. So everybody would have gotten a new automation as of last week. I believe it was Tuesday evening. Could be wrong, but I believe that's when it was, when the new feature went out. You would have received this automation in your automations area within Ticket. And I'm going to click into mine and just kind of show you what that looks like. So you can see the entity that we're triggering on is Ticket being added or modified. When there's a new comment, we have a new operator, which is called is at mentioned. And that's once again looking for that at mentioned functionality. And then the action type is going to be notification center. And we have a new group of users that can be targeted via notification center now. And it's now at mentioned users. So when you say at Donald Marshall, for example, then he'll be the recipient of this notification. And then you can see the default that's turned on is the ticket notification message. This is the subject. We're sending a generic ticket card, which is going to include some of the details that you saw in Teams earlier when Donald received that notification. And then also the email notification is turned on by default. So I show all this to say that you can mix and match these. So if you guys lean more heavily into email integration, you can even turn this off completely. And so your agent will only receive email notification. If you lean more heavily into Teams notification, you can turn that off, and then they'll receive it via Teams, via the Ticket app. You can send app mentions to other users. I mean, I don't know exactly why you might want to, but you can, because once again, it's going through Notification Center via automation. And so, you can route those notifications however it makes sense to you. But the highlighted user is probably the best case for that. So that's how the notifications go out. That's how they can be modified. Any questions about app mentions or anything else? I'm gonna just jump out of there without saving because I want both.
I do have a silly question, I guess. This is probably a limitation of Teams, but is there any way to put a space after the name in the app mention? Because if you saw in your example, it kind of ran into the text. And I mean, you can manually enter one, of course, but I was wondering if it's programmatically possible to separate those out. Because if you do like two in a row, it will mix the names together as well.
I'm not aware of any. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it does run them up. I mean, yeah, just space bar. Good old space bar. Let me see. I mean, you heard me hit it twice. I'm gonna hit it just once and see. Yeah, that looks, yeah, just space.
I guess I have another question too, and I can't remember right off the top of my head if you've already covered this or not. But when you at mention a person who is not a ticket agent or anything, like you said, you don't know why you would, but if you did, that grants them visibility into that particular ticket, right? So they can see previous comments and whatnot.
So, agents are the only potential targets for app mentions at this stage.
Okay.
So even if you, I mean, if I say, you can see, like Diego might be an agent in another. Let me see if I have another user here. Besides Miriam, I'm not sure about Ben. If I say, I mean, you can see that like Ben is not an agent. Ben Howell is not an agent, and therefore he can't even be targeted. But Donald and Justin Admin can.
That makes sense. Okay.
So, I mean, in terms of visibility, the agents will already have visibility. They may not see it depending on how they work. They may be in another group, and so they're not watching that channel, or they may be living out of my work and it's not assigned to them, and so they don't see it that way. But ultimately, like from a security perspective, they do already have visibility of the ticket. And yeah, so there's no additional permissions that are granted through an app mention.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Good questions. Anybody else? All right, I'm gonna stop sharing and switch back to my deck real fast. Just kind of go to the last slide. I know this one was quick today. Like I said, it was just a new feature came out last week. We wanted to highlight that and kind of show how it works and how it can be adjusted, to fit your need. If you have questions, that didn't come out today, definitely feel free to reach out to us. Let us know once again what you like, what you don't like in terms of what we're providing in the context of these sessions. We're happy to go deeper on another topic, maybe that we've already covered. So if you have lingering questions around one of those existing topics that we've already covered, we're happy to go deeper. Happy to cover new topics. If there's anything that's burning for you that we haven't talked about already, happy to do that as well. So definitely feel free to reach out. We're very open. Some of you know, like very responsive, very open to interacting with you guys and, both giving and receiving feedback. So definitely reach out. We're happy to help.
Hey,
I'll give,
Justin, I do have one more question about this new release, and
yeah.
I do have a support ticket in on this, but I wanted to see if anyone else was experiencing this with the new update and the way that it handles attachments that can be copied and pasted in. We think we're seeing a side effect of that, which is the stripping of images that are coming in as tickets, right? So if someone sends an email in and pastes in a screenshot that they've captured, we're not seeing that image come in as an attachment with the ticket. It's just missing, and I'm wondering if that's something that's just in our environment, or if others are seeing that as well.
That is probably this.
We have that minimum size. Oh, I thought that slide, there was a slider there that was off. Let me check my setting on that.
Yeah, actually, David, it's funny you mentioned that because right before this this little webinar, we actually just had that issue.
So the thought behind the file attachment filtering is this is a minimum file size. So anything below that minimum is going to get dropped, as you say. But the idea is signature graphics primarily. So when folks send in an email to the, to whatever mailbox you might have configured, if they have signature graphics, you can set a threshold so that those signature graphics get edited out and don't actually get added. And that's the reason for that feature.
Okay, so if we set that to 0, will that be okay, or do we have to set it to 1?
I'm not sure. I would err on 1. Presumably, anything that's going to be relevant is going to be greater than 1. So I would say set it to 1 just for safety's sake. I'm not sure on that. I can find out and get back to you, but in the meantime, I would say set it to 1.
And if it helps in any way, David, I just saw the image that one of my users tried to submit was 15 KB, and I also have the file attachment filtering set to 25. So
yeah, 25 would have been the default.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna roll with 10 and call it a day.
There you go.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, once again, that was a feature that came out in the release last week, so it's good to highlight and talk about that. Appreciate it. Okay, I'll give you one more chance for questions or comments. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for showing up. Once again, we're happy to do this kind of content, but we want to know what works for you guys. So, again, feel free to reach out, help@tikit.ai. You can email any of us directly. My email is justin.workman@sciarson.com. Feel free to reach out, and we'll get you what you need to know. So, thanks again, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks, Justin. You do the same.
Thanks.